Hey, what's up guys? Calum or Calum's Fish Tanks, and in today's video, we're going to be preparing the 7.5 gallon tank for my 2-week vacation. So let's get started. So before I leave, one of the things I'm going to need to take care of is the plants. As you can see, some are right up at the top of the surface, and I definitely don't want them growing out of the tank or growing too much while I'm gone, because I don't want them to get out of control. So I'm first off going to trim up all the plants to make sure that they are in decent condition before I leave for my trip. So what I'm trying to do here is fix up the Ludwigia a bit, because it is super tall and it needs to be taken care of so it doesn't grow out of the water while I'm away. Oops. You can see right here how it's kind of split in two. That's kind of what you want from plants, because that means where I cut off the tops again, it's going to split in four, and it's going to keep on getting bushier and bushier and allow me to get a more dense bush-like look in my tank. Go. So the Ludwigia is all trimmed up. Now I don't have much of this stuff, so I'm going to plant it back into the tank. So what I've done here is taken all the stems out of the tank, and I'm going to start preparing them by removing the bottom couple of leaves before I replant them into the substrate. So you do want to take off a couple of pairs of leaves to promote root growth and give yourself something to plant in the tank. So there you can see I've taken off a couple of leaves, and that's ready to go into the tank. But I'll do that with all the stems, and then I'll show you guys the process of planting them. So I'm going to put them into small bunches of maybe 2 or 3 and plant them in the back with the other stems of Ludwigia. And then it's just a waiting game for them to climb back up to the top, which they should be coming close by the time I return from my little vacation. So I'm going to finish off planting all these guys in little bunches like this, and then I'll get back to you. So there we go, they're all planted. Now I'm actually going to clean up the Rotella species green as well. I'm not going to show you this because it's going to be the exact same as the Ludwigia, but then we're going to move on to the next part of preparing the tank. So I would also recommend doing a water change sometime before you leave. I did mine 2 days ago, so the tank should be fine. As well as I did clean the filter. You don't have to, but I just did because it was getting a bit dirty. Leading up to it, I would definitely feed your fish an ample amount. Feed them a bit more than they usually eat, especially if you're going to stop fertilizing if it is a planted tank, to get a bit of extra nutrients in the tank while you're gone, as well as some more energy for the fish as well. Now, I have been using these since I started keeping fish tanks, and these are just 7-day feeders. I found they've worked really well for my fish. I just buy one of these and throw it in the tank every time I go on this trip, because I do go every year. And I'm just going to try to put it somewhere where there's not a lot of plants. Right here's a good area. This back corner. Because this is where the skim used to be. I took it out recently just to let these crypts grow up a bit. But yeah, that's a good place for it. And that will not shade out any of my plants. That can be a hard thing to do if you have a very heavily planted tank, is find somewhere to place these. But I'll put a link to these down below in the description, an Amazon link if I can find one. But I've just found they worked really well for my tanks, and I have never lost fish while using these. I use these every single year since I have started keeping fish, and I use them in all of my tanks. If you do have a planted tank, if you're gone for a week or maybe even 2, you should be fine without using these, but I just like to use it as kind of peace of mind, just to say if there's not enough food in the tank with just all the plant matter, my fish will have a secondary source of food. I think it was Rachel O'Leary was talking about how sometimes your tanks can be just fine going 2 weeks without any feeding or anything, but I just like to be safe and add in these little weak feeders. A problem I know I'm going to have, especially with this tank, because it is rimless and lidless as well, is a lot of evaporation is going to go on while I'm away, and I don't have a lid. So what I am planning on doing is taking some saran wrap and covering up the top, but leaving in some holes for aeration in the tank. So I'm just going to try to cover up the top as best I can, so not as much water will evaporate, but like I mentioned, I am going to leave some holes so my tank doesn't suffocate. So you do need to leave let some air in, of course. Oh, I need a bigger sheet. So I've saran wrapped up the top. I left about an inch at the back for a bit of aeration because, like I mentioned, you don't want to suffocate your tank, or else the lack of oxygen will end up killing your fish as well as it could harm your plants. So I left that back area open to allow for oxygen to exchange in and out of the tank. So I forgot to film an outro, but I'm currently on vacation. I've been away for about a week now. I have one more week to go, so I'll have a video out for you guys on Tuesday, seeing how the tanks have done while I am away. But anyways guys, that about does it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.